Hi guys, once again welcome back to Alpha Prepping. As you see today I've got my co-host Arnold with me. He's going to try and help me out today, and what we're going to be focusing on is getting some birch oil from birch bark. And what I've done, got a basic tin, nothing too fancy, and I've jammed it full of birch bark, you can see in there. And all I've done, I've put a hole in the top and I've put a hole in the bottom. What we're going to do, we're going to put this on a fire over this tin like so, and just start a fire around it. And what will happen, this will heat up and bake the birch bark, and the oil will drip into the bottom. Now I've put a hole in the top to release the gases, because what can happen sometimes is the pressure can build and it can pop the top off. So that's why I put a hole in the top. Like I say, it's, some people recommend not to do it, some people recommend to do it, but I always prefer doing it because it just saves me having to put a stone on top and the top coming off all the time. So that's what I'm going to do. So first thing, we're going to start digging ourselves a little hole to put this little tin in. Like I say, it doesn't have to be a big hole. Honey, come. Good boy. Good boy. Stay there. And what we want to do when we dig the hole is keep the soil to one side, because we'll be using that again in a little while. What we do, should be about deep enough. Yep, should be about deep enough. What I do, just scrape some of these pine needles back when we start the fire. Right then, I'm saying all this is just a basic food tin. I think it had baked beans in it or something. So what you do, place it in the hole, like, and then you just backfill, and you want to leave it just shy of the top by about ½ an inch. Backfill it in, press it down, and you want to avoid trying to get any bits and pieces, any of the soil or anything in the hole itself. Right then, should be about enough. And all we do, we get our next tin, and literally we just make sure hole's central over the pot, like that, and that's it. And then what you do now, you backfill again, make sure there's no air gaps, so you can press it in. Right, that's it. And now comes the fun part, when we start the fire and let it burn. Now normally I'd leave it for about 4 hours to let it burn through, and usually you'll get probably about ¼ of a tin from this whole tin here in the bottom of oil. So guys, we'll get a fire going and then we'll bring you back. Right then guys, what we're doing now, just starting our basic raft, and I'm just going to pile all the little twigs on, and I've got a little prep for you to view that I found at one of our local discount stores in the UK called Home Bargains. I'll bring that little baby out in a minute. I'm doing more of a TP style fire this time for this oil. It's going to work in our favour a bit better than I did the crisscross pattern with the twigs and that. Right then, so I'll go to my little goodie bag. What it is, what I found, yes Arnold, there you go. What I found, it's called wood wool. Essentially, it is just shredded wood that's been twisted together, and that's all it is. It hasn't been impregnated with anything, and all it is just twisted wool. And it makes, like saying, if you see that, make the perfect bird's nest. One thing you got to watch though with this, it won't take a spark from a fire steel. You do need a match to get it going. So I'll be doing a couple of experiments with it. So, we'll lay a couple of them in the base of the fire. And I think what you get, I think if I remember right, it's about £1.99 for about 40 of these in a bag. Now, I know the purists out there might say, well, you could get everything from the woods, but what I found is you could just have it part of your prepping kit or your emergency fire kit. It is, you know, if you can't be bothered to go through all the routine of, you know, doing, you know, with the birch bark and all the fat wood and stuff like that, these are just an alternative you can use. So, fluff these right up, get them right in the fire. So I'll show you how they burn when they're in like a solid form like that. That's right, Arnold, yeah? Yeah? Right. As you can see, they just ignite straight away. No fuss, no muss. And that will burn, for a good 10 minutes like that before it goes out. What you can do, just put it on the fire. As you can see, there's no stopping it once it gets going. So yeah, so there's a little hack for you when you start a fire out in the bad weather. Like I say, we're in the UK now, and it's coming towards the middle of February, and the weather isn't too bad. We've had some snow recently and some rain, and everything's quite damp. So these little things do come in handy. Like I say, what we're going to do, we're going to let this burn for about 3 or 4 hours to extract as much of the oil as we can out of the bark. Like I say, I mean, I ram jammed that tin full of birch bark, so we should get about a quarter of a tin out, I reckon. Okay guys, this has been burning now for about 3.5 hours. As you see, we've got a good bed of embers at the minute, so all we're going to do is scrape out the embers back and see what we've got. Now what I've done as well, I've cleared a bigger area for scraping the embers back to make sure we don't set anything out of light. One of the things I can advise is that when you do use a tin, be careful, because sometimes when you do decide to put a stone on top of it and not put an air hole in, is that the tin becomes soft and pliable, and it can just collapse in on itself. So just be mindful of that when if you do decide to do it that way. Sorry about the smoke, folks. What I'll do, just let them die down a bit. As you can see, the smoke's reduced down a bit, and all we're going to do is just break back a bit more of the soil around the tin, and lift should be okay to lift off. It's been cooling for a little bit, and I've got, I say, leather gloves on, so it will help. So this is the moment of truth. Okay guys, are we ready? Oh yes. I don't know if you can see that, guys, but we've got about a quarter of a tin of birch oil in there. Absolutely brilliant. Alright guys, this is the fruit of our labour. And if you can see that stuff there, the black, well, brown black stuff on top is the oil. And what's happened is we've had a lot of water within the bark itself, and that's what that is at the bottom. But the black stuff on top is what we're after. Now, put that down. If you have this is what's left in the tin, what you should have. If I tip that out, you'll see all it is just ash. Keeping it out. Oh, we could have actually, this could have stopped on for another half an hour, because you can see all that resin still in there. All that, see all that? So we could have had another half an hour out of that, I reckon, just to get a bit more out of it. But this is the kind of the final product you'll have. With the birch oil, it has absolutely fantastic properties to it, from basically of protecting your leatherwork, conditioning it, your woodwork, your metalwork, anything along them lines. Also, it's really good. This can now be boiled down into like a tar, and it can be made into like a putty for repairing objects like pots. It can be made into waterproof, to waterproof your boots. They actually use this to waterproof birch bark boats, and also medicinal purposes to this is fantastic. It can treat a whole number of skin ailments, from eczema, psoriasis, and all them kind of things. And this was actually, throughout history, it's been proven that this itself has been dated back to about 11,000 years, and Neanderthal man was actually boiling this down to making a glue out of it to fix his spearheads and his arrowheads to it. And also ancient Greece were using it, even the Romans were using it to do their pots with. What it is, it's better than pitch pine because it's a bit more flexible when used. Even though it will set and do the job, it won't become brittle like pitch pine can sometimes. So this has been a wonderful product, and I don't know why we still don't use it now. It seems like we have to rely on super glue to get the stuff done, but this, once boiled down to a tar, is absolutely fantastic. Okay guys, well, I hope you like this video, and if you do, give us a thumbs up. If you'd love to subscribe, be even better, and if you could post any comments on the bottom also to let us know what else this can be used for, would be brilliant.